Today we're going to be speaking about one of my favorite topics. It's called the formula for health. And this is the topic of my newest book as well, which will be out sometime in the fall or the winter. And the formula for health that I've discovered, and I'm going to talk about here today, can actually be applied to any type of diet one chooses to eat, and still somebody could seek the benefits of it. The formula for health was first shown to me when I read a book years ago by a fellow named Arnold Ehret. The title of the book was The Mucusless Diet Healing System. And he actually called it the formula for life. But I call it the formula for health, and we'll talk about why this afternoon. Now, before I get started with that, as I was saying my background the other day, I travel all over the world. I've been to many cultures around the world, and I've seen different people, from young children to very old adults, eating different types of diets all throughout the world. And as I do my lectures, I would always ask people what interests them the most in health. Why are they interested in learning about health? And to my surprise, food wasn't the answer. People weren't interested in health to learn what food was best for them. There were many different reasons people showed some interest in health or learning about health, but the top 3 reasons, which I'm going to discuss now, had nothing to do with nutrition. And to me this was a surprise, because I was always under the impression, like so many people, the reason people are interested in health is because they want to learn what food is best and so on. But I have found out the 3 top reasons people are interested in learning about health is, number 1, if somebody is sick, how do they get well again? That's the number 1 motivating factor for somebody to start getting interested in health topics. If somebody has a disease, how do they get well again? How do they cure it? Number 2, if somebody doesn't have a disease, how do they avoid getting one? And number 3, how does somebody stay looking young? These are the 3 top reasons people get interested in health. Now, if somebody could be convinced that diet and nutrition has something to do with accomplishing those goals, it's then people start to show interest in diet and nutrition. However, the majority of people today are deceived to believe that they can accomplish those goals without changing their diet at all. How do I know that? As I travel around the country and I go to fast food places to use the bathrooms and so on, I see a lot of people there eating. And it's not only people that go to health lectures that want to accomplish these 3 things we're talking about. It's everyone, even these people in the fast food places. They want to avoid disease if they don't have it, they want to cure it if they have it, and they want to stay looking young. But since they're eating this food and they still want to accomplish these goals, what that tells me is they've been deceived to believe they can accomplish these goals another way and continue to eat the same junk food diet that they're eating. But we're smarter than that, and we know that diet and nutrition has everything to do with accomplishing these goals. And if you pay attention to your diet and nutrition, it's a great benefit to accomplish these goals much quicker than any other way out there. However, why do we see some people who eat a great diet, they eat the highest quality foods, but they're still not healthy? And then on the other hand, we see people that eat a lousy diet, but some of them are doing pretty well. Food is a very important part of our health, but it's not everything. And this is where a lot of people have went wrong. A lot of people first getting involved in health are deceived to believe that if they could just change their diet and everything else is great. Well, I don't care if you're eating the best diet in the world. If you're not getting enough sleep, enough rest, drinking enough water, and eating high quality food, getting fresh air, getting enough exercise, you're not going to be as healthy as you can be. As a matter of fact, those things might be even more important than food. Why do I say that? Because I know a lot of people that eat a lousy diet, but they're getting enough sleep, water, and exercise, and they're doing better than people that are eating a great diet and not getting those other things in. So they're all equally important, and we have to pay attention to all of those things if we want to be healthy. To really cure disease, the best way to do it is to understand what the root cause is. Now, there's many different root causes, and if you're treating the correct root cause, you're going to come up with the correct answer. For example, if the root cause is your diet, if it is something physical, and you treat the physical aspects of that, you're going to come up with the correct answer. However, there are emotional, mental root causes, there are spiritual root causes to go along with the physical root causes. So if you're trying to treat your illness from a diet standpoint, but you already have a great diet, if your real problem is emotionally, you're not going to come up with the cure that you're looking for. Same thing if you're trying to look for it spiritually, but you're still eating a lousy diet, you're not going to come with the same cure. So you must find out what the root cause is to accomplish these goals. And I have found out from meeting people all over the world who are sick that the root cause many times is all three: physical, emotional, and spiritual. And we must look at all three of these areas if we want to be healthy. In this talk today, we're going to focus mainly on the formula for health from a physical diet standpoint. We will talk a little about the emotional and spiritual standpoint as well, but we're going to cover that in some other lectures this weekend while we're here. But when it comes to diet and nutrition and our disease or our health, what is the formula for health and how can we make this happen? The first thing that's important to look at if we want to avoid disease or cure disease is to actually know what disease is. How do we even know we have a disease? This is a problem in today's world because what disease truly is, people don't realize it because they're looking for the wrong signs. Disease is another word for discomfort. That's it. It's another word for discomfort. It's actually an alarm that tells us when we're doing something wrong. But if you're in a house that has a fire alarm and smoke starts smoking up and the fire alarm goes off, if you ignore that fire alarm and continue doing what you're doing, and if the fire's not too bad where you're not going to burn or die, but you continue what you're doing, well, if you continue to ignore the alarms, eventually the alarm could be going on off loud and you just won't hear it, no matter how loud it is, because your body is going to just get immune to that sound and it's not going to pay attention to it. Well, when we have a certain discomfort, it's the alarm system of the body telling us we're doing something wrong. And if you pay attention to it and react to it, the body will always be on a full response, a true response. However, if you continue to ignore that alarm, if you continue to ignore the pain, eventually your body won't feel the pain anymore, but it'll keep coming back worse and worse and worse. But your body won't feel it, and that's the situation many people are in today. They've lost that sign, that ability to tell something is wrong. This is why the most common thing that people use to determine they have an illness is one of the most dangerous. I tell people, how do you know you truly have an illness? Because the body can't give a true response after a long time of eating bad food and being very toxic. Now, when you're healthy, right away, immediately, it'll tell you if you're doing something wrong. So the healthier you become, the more sensitive you're going to become to harmful things in the environment. However, if you're already very toxic, you can be doing a lot of harmful things to your body and not even realizing it until it's way down the road. When it comes to disease, there's actually only one disease with many different stages. There's one disease with many different stages. The final stage is something we call cancer. Even then, if somebody is diagnosed with cancer, even the final stage of cancer, there's no medical test or medical doctor or any way to tell that the body has no energy to come back alive and reverse its condition if you start improving your lifestyle. Somebody came to me once, they said, Paul, my doctor told me I had 3 months to live, what should I do? I said, you better find another doctor. Because the only thing the doctor's using to determine that person has 3 months is every person the doctor has treated with that illness has only lasted 3 months. That's not a very good track record. You want to go to a doctor that says you have 60, 70, 80, 90 years, not 3 months. We're not going to talk about the final stages of disease today. We're going to talk about the beginning stages, because if we pay attention to the beginning stages, we never have to worry about the final stages. And a health formula will help sum this all up, where we can apply this to our lives immediately with our food, with our exercise, with our spiritual life, with our emotional life, and we can be healthy always, just as healthy as we want to be, even healthier than we ever imagined. The way to identify disease, the dangerous way people appear to identify disease today, is the most dangerous thing, two of the most dangerous words in the English language, I feel. If you're waiting to how you feel to determine if you have a disease or not, you're going to be a very sick person before you even realize it. The body's not truly reacting if you're already toxic to begin with. This is why you hear of people that are very sick, but they don't realize it. They say, oh, I never get a cold or anything, and then one day they die. And everyone says, oh, that person was never sick. It's such a surprise, because they didn't feel sick. Or other people say when they finally feel sick, they get diagnosed with something like cancer or some other later stage of disease. It happens because they've missed the beginning signs of disease. And the way to truly identify the beginning signs of disease is two ways. There's two beginning signs of disease that no matter where we are, or no matter what culture in the world we're at, or where in the world we're at, it's the same two signs. No matter how old or young somebody is, the same two beginning signs. But they're so common in today's world that people accept it as normal. People don't accept it as some disease. People say, oh, that's normal, that's supposed to happen. And the scary thing is, not only now does that happen with the beginning signs of disease, that's starting to happen with the later signs of disease. Heart disease, diabetes, and everything else, it's started to be accepted as normal. It's not even a disease anymore in some places. People say, well, that's supposed to happen. You're considered lucky in today's world if you're a certain age and you don't have one of these major forms of a so-called disease. The two beginning stages of disease that are so common in today's world: laziness and constipation. Laziness and constipation. If somebody told you that those weren't diseases, you've been lied to. As a matter of fact, I know people that are so lazy, they're happy they're constipated, so they don't got to get up and go to the bathroom. That's how bad it's become in today's world. Little kids are suffering from this today. And then it starts with the beginning stages, and it comes back worse and worse and worse and worse. So that's how you truly begin to identify something is wrong, not waiting for how you feel. Laziness and constipation. Let me tell you something about constipation. If you are going to the bathroom once a day, that doesn't mean you're not constipated. If you're eating 7, 8, 9 times a day like people overeat in today's world, and you're going to the bathroom 1 time a day, you better either have a really big bowel movement or you're constipated. We need to understand what is happening with this. I know some people deny it. They say, well, I'm not constipated, but I don't list the people that are full of something. So we have to understand and realize laziness and constipation, and one will equal the other. That's the beginning signs of disease. Now, what are the major two causes of disease? The major two causes of disease, no matter where we are in the world again, every culture, it's the same major two causes. And no matter what diet somebody's eating, I don't care if it's McDonald's or a raw food diet, if you're continuing with these causes, you're going to continue to suffer. The major two causes of disease is overeating and undersleeping. That's it. That's everything right there. Overeating and undersleeping, and you cannot do one without the other. If you're overeating, you're going to end up undersleeping, because the more you eat, the more the body has to work to process that food. The more the body has to work, the more rest you need to heal. That's what sleeping is. Sleeping is another word for healing. And if you're cutting your sleep short, you're cutting your healing short. If you're waking up with an alarm clock, if you're tired throughout the day, if you're not getting enough sleep, people say, well, I get a lot of sleep. There's a big difference between a lot of sleep and enough sleep. A tremendous difference. We need to make sure we get enough sleep. People say, what are we supposed to do, quit our jobs and stay in bed all day? No, we're supposed to find out why we require so much sleep to begin with. Why do we overeat? Overeating is the problem. We do not need to eat a lot. When our bodies are cleaned out and we're eating high-quality food, we could get by on very little. Very little. I know a lot of the people that are speaking here this weekend, they eat very little. And people say, but we love to eat. We don't want to eat little. Well, the more you eat, the less you eat, the longer you live, and the more you'll get to eat. You don't have to worry about it. People say, oh, we love to eat. People are eating so much, and they're eating so fast, they just never take their time, and it's creating a tremendous problem. Well, why do people overeat? Number one, the quality of the food they're eating. Number two, the way they're eating it. It's just atrocious. First of all, the quality of the food people are eating. If you're eating low-quality food, no matter how much you eat, your body's not getting the nutrients from that food because it's not in the food. So guess what you're going to crave? More food or more nutrients. Your body's going to crave more nutrients. And if you unknowingly, if you don't have the knowledge about food to begin with, when you get more food, you're going to get more bad food. So even though your body's doing all this work to digest the food, requiring more rest, you're still not giving your body what it needs. So you're ending up with a deficiency, you're creating much more work than the body truly should be doing, and you're still not getting the nutrition the body needs. That's what's happened when we eat low-quality food. We need to make sure the body gets enough by doing as little work as possible, not working as hard as possible to get as less as possible. Also, the way we eat. You know, the body, there's an enzyme in the saliva. We're supposed to chew our food well, and it's supposed to be almost liquid in our mouth by the time we swallow it. So the body has to do very little work to process it, and it's getting all the nutrients it needs from it. But the way people eat today, people eat so fast, they take no time. You know, I look at my dogs. I put the food down, the dog eats so fast. I said, I've never seen any species eat as fast as a dog. I put it down, by the time I turn around, the food's gone. I've never seen anybody eat as fast as a dog. until I go to a cafeteria or a restaurant somewhere. And I see the way people eat. You know, people eat worse than dogs. And think about it. You know, people are talking while they're eating. They're not chewing their food. They're just swallowing it, making the body work harder. They're eating low-quality food. You will never see a dog bark with food in its mouth. But you see people talk with food in their mouth all the time. When you do not eat the good quality food, when you do not eat it properly, you're requiring your body to work so hard, and there's nothing there for your body to get. See, technically, the body doesn't know what you're eating. There's no labels on the foods when it comes in your mouth, even if you buy it from something that has a label on it. The body doesn't know the difference between an apple or a pork chop. It simply takes what it needs, and it has to get rid of the rest. Now, if you eat an apple, there's a lot of things in there your body can use, and very little waste left over. So your body's getting a lot of nutrition, very little waste left over. That's what we want. Now, if you eat something like a hamburger or even a piece of bread, there might be some fortified nutrition in there. There's nutrients in everything today. So your body might get some nutrients, but not everything it needs, and it has a lot of waste to get rid of. And you keep eating this, and you end up getting constipated. And that constipation, that whatever's constipated in your body, it's going to ferment and putrefy. It's going to create a terrible gas. Now, for the sake of your health, you want that gas to come out of your body. For the sake of the people around you, you don't want that gas to come out of your body. But when that gas doesn't come out of your body, it backs up into the bloodstream and creates the later stages of disease on a cellular level that is much harder to overcome. Not impossible, but much harder. So the key is to eat the high-quality food. What is high-quality food? Raw, ripe, fresh, and organic. Raw, ripe, fresh, and organic. That's the highest quality foods we can get for our body. Now, what are raw, ripe, fresh, and organic? The first one is raw. What is so special about raw food? What makes raw food so high quality? Two things. There's many things, but two things we're going to look at is liquid and enzymes. Liquid and enzymes. And by the way, the majority of the body is made up of, guess what? Liquid and enzymes. So the liquid and the enzymes is what's so beneficial about the raw food. Let's first look at liquid. When you cook a food, you're dehydrating the food. You're taking the liquid out of your food. There's a great book called Your Body's Many Cries for Water that talks about dehydrating being one of the major causes of disease. When you're dehydrated, people aren't drinking enough liquid. To make it worse, they're eating the foods that are taking liquid from their body, and they're dehydrated. One of the beginning signs as causes of disease. We need to have more liquids. Either in our food, on the side, we need to drink water, one how or another, but people simply aren't doing it. And then even worse, the enzymes. When you cook a food over 118 degrees, you destroy not some, but all of the enzymes in that food. Now, we've heard about this, we hear this, but what are enzymes? What do enzymes truly do in the body? And here's a great way to explain this. Picture there was a door here with a lock on it. And there's only two ways to get on the other side to get what you really want. So there's something you want on the other side, there's a door with a lock. The first way is very simple. You take a key, you simply open the lock, you go open the door, you get what you want on the other side, using very little energy to get what you need. Now, if you don't have that key, the only way you're going to get to the other side is to kick and break down that door, using a lot of energy to do so. Now, how disappointed would you be after you use all that energy to get to the other side if what you wanted wasn't there? How many people here like to work very hard to get very little? Well, neither does the body. And just like we would complain, the body's going to complain with something called dis-ease. You see, what we want to make happen is we want to make our bodies work less to get more, not the opposite, more to get less. And when you eat foods without enzymes, that's what you're making your body do. You're making your body work harder to get less. When it comes to food, enzymes are the key. Enzymes help your body simply get in the food and get what it needs out of the food, very simply working less harder than it should or has to. And guess what? The less it's working, the less healing time we require, the less sleep we require. Anybody that eats a high enzyme diet is going to need less sleep than somebody who eats a cooked diet with depleted in enzymes. You're going to need much more sleep to heal from that. And chances are you won't get it, causing overeating and undersleeping. So we want to eat the raw. The next one is ripe. 90% of the foods found in today's markets is not ripe. They call it orange and orange for a reason. It's not supposed to be green. 90% of the food is unripe. When you eat an unripe food, you're taking what was meant to be a high-quality food, and you're eating it in a low-quality form. It doesn't have everything that's supposed to be in there, and also it's harder to get whatever is in there to begin with. You're making your body work much harder to get much less, once again. And then the other one, freshness, the freshness of the food. How many people have ever seen a vegetarian or a raw foodist that didn't look healthy? The problem isn't the vegetarian or raw food diet. The problem is, I don't care if you're not getting your food fresh. I don't care what you call yourself. You're not going to be healthy. Even though you lose all of the enzymes when you cook the food, after 2 weeks you've lost up to 50% of the enzymes in many of the foods on the market. Up to 50%. And you can call yourself a raw food and fool yourself, but if you're eating something 2, 3, or 4 weeks after it was picked out of the ground and it's missing most of the enzymes, some of the nutrition in there, you're taking a high-quality food and now you're eating it in a low-quality form. And the next one is organic. Now, I used to think organic just meant you could just peel the outside and it'll be fine, but no, it's much more than that. It comes down to the soil. Organic food has soil that is so rich in minerals. And if you eat food that comes from soil that's not organic, the soil is demineralized. What does that mean? That means the food that grows from it is not going to have the proper amount of minerals that your body needs. You're going to be deficient. You're going to require more food. You're going to overeat if you're eating organic food. People say, well, it costs too much to eat organic food. No, it costs less. Because to eat one organic apple and one unorganic apple, yes, it's much less to buy one unorganic apple. But you're going to have to eat 5 to 10 unorganic apples to get the same nutrition you would in one without all that extra work you're making your body do. Organic is cheaper, it's wiser, it's smarter, and it tastes much better. You want to make sure you're eating your foods raw, ripe, fresh, and organic. That's the highest quality form we can do it. So you're eating the foods in the highest quality form. After you've cleansed, after you detoxed, the body's clean, the body will truly react when something is wrong. It won't give a false response like here's a good example. I know if you take an eyedropper and you take rat poison or something, you know, you can't drink it by the spoonful. You'll probably die, arsenic or something. But if you take an eyedropper and you have 1 drop every day, guess what? Your body can build up an immunity to that. Till one day you could take a whole tablespoon and nothing would happen. Well, that's what's happened with food. You know, and the body doesn't give a true response because the body's so immune to all this toxicity. Look at the environment we live in. You take a healthy person from a clean environment and you send them to New York City or Los Angeles, they'll probably die, you know, after a couple of days. But you slowly but surely transfer them into that environment, they'll live with no pain, no discomfort. But they're still killing themselves. You know, we're killing ourselves with food. We're killing ourselves with poisons in the air. Suicide is suicide. Whether it's a slow suicide or a fast suicide, it's still suicide. People don't realize that. We have to wake up, and the way to wake up is with the formula for health, which we're going to talk about. The formula for health is the answer. But before we even get to the formula for health, I want to talk more a little about overeating, because I've discussed the physical reasons we overeat, but I want to discuss the emotional reasons we overeat. People overeat for emotional reasons. Yes, overeating is one of the biggest causes of death, of sickness and disease. As a matter of fact, one of the people I've interviewed in my book said more people die in the kitchen than any other room in the house. But there's something more deadly in our house than the food we're eating. Remember, in life we have habits and addictions. And I say that because they're not the same thing. Habits and addictions are two different things. We must make sure we break our addictions. We overcome our addictions if we want to be healthy. What is the difference between a habit and an addiction? A habit is when we do something on a regular basis that we enjoy, but when we find out it's bad for us, we stop doing it. We break that habit. However, an addiction is when we do something we enjoy. When we find out it's bad for us, we make excuses to keep doing it. We must change our addictions into habits and break them. Now I'm going to tell you what the most harmful things is in our life, and you decide if you're ready to break this harmful addiction. If you truly want to be healthy, if you truly want to feel better, get rid of your TV sets. Get rid of your TV sets. It's one of the most dangerous things people have in their lives on a daily basis. It's actually TV programming, not TV, because I have some videos. DVDs are wonderful, but you know, the TV programming, it programs us. It programs us to do crazy things and justify doing them. We don't know we're doing them, and we just continue on doing them. We need to get this program out of our lives. People say, well, I would love to come to your lecture, I just don't have time. And then I go to their house and they're doing crazy things like watching the Weather Channel for 2 hours a night. And it's not even where they live. This is how crazy it is in today's world. The TV is just killing people. It makes them live in fear, it makes them think crazy things. I'll tell you what, you want to see a reality show on TV? People are addicted to these reality shows. The best reality show you'll ever see, tape a mirror to your TV screen. That's why we're so addicted to it, because we resonate with the same craziness that's going on in the show. We need to overcome this addiction. It's so harmful to our lives. I have a rule about TV, unless I'm on it, don't watch it. You want to feel better? Take your TV and put it in your closet for a month and see how much better you feel. And I don't mean with the door open and the TV plugged in. Stop watching TV and your life will change for the better. I can't emphasize this enough. It's just the commercials control us, the things on TV control us. And I mean, if as much people voted for the Organic Standard Act that voted for American Idol, we wouldn't be in this situation to begin with. We need to understand the control that it has over us. And if you can't get rid of TV, at least get rid of the most harmful thing on TV, the news. Do you know more people die watching the news than any other time of the day? Now, if you're watching the news in your kitchen, you're in big trouble. But this is what people are doing on a daily basis, and they're getting themselves in trouble. The news, first of all, most of it's not true. Second of all, it just makes us live in fear. It makes us emotionally eat. It's just a terrible thing. People say, but if we don't watch the news, how do we know what's going on in today's world? I guarantee if something bad enough is going to happen in your life where you need to know about it, somebody will tell you. You don't have to sit there watching the news just waiting for it to happen and seeing what's going on and everything else. People say, well, how will we know what the weather's going to be? You know what? This is why they make windows in houses. You don't need to see watching the news all day, and the weatherman's wrong most of the time anyway. People say, I gotta wait for the weather. Get rid of that TV. It is so negative. It's not that difficult to get rid of the TV set. Eliminate the TV from your life. You'll be able. It's no wonder why we get so sick today. Just look at what the average person does on a daily basis, and you tell me why we're not sick. The average person will get up at a time they don't want to get up to go somewhere. They don't want to be going because they think they don't have a choice. And as they're getting ready to go there, they'll turn on the news to get an update on all the terrible stories that happened the night before when they were sleeping. Now they're going to be so emotionally upset, they're going to make something for breakfast unhealthy, and they're going to overeat on it. Now they're going to get to work to be with people they don't want to be with because they think they don't have a choice. And they're going to be so depressed from that, by the time they eat lunch, they're going to be so upset they're going to emotionally eat on something unhealthy. Now they're going to come home from work, they can't even wait till they get home from work. They have to turn the news on the radio in the car, but then they have to see it again to confirm what they just heard. So when they get home, they turn the TV on. Now they're going to be so emotionally upset. Not only are they going to make something bad for themselves, but for their whole family. Now after their family eats, they're going to be so lazy, weak, and tired, they can't do anything but sit on the couch and watch TV. They're so lazy, they can't even turn on the TV without a remote control. They could be arms length away from the TV and still need a remote control to turn it on. Then when they finally figure out how to turn the TV on, what they see on TV is going to make them constipated. What's the first two signs of disease? Laziness and constipation. And then right before they go to sleep, they're going to watch the most dangerous thing on TV, the nightly news. How do you expect to get a good night's worth of sleep after watching the evening news? It's not going to happen. But that's what people do day in and day out. Then they wake up in the morning and they need some stimulant to wake them up, the alarm clock or something else. Then they need some stimulant to keep them awake, coffee or Jolt or something else. They're living a life of stimulation, a life of reality on TV, things they see, and that's just the way it is, and they wonder why they get sick. Why they get sick, I'll tell you, two of the worst forget it, if the best food for our body is going to give us the most nutrients and go down very easily and help the body work very easily, well, the worst foods are going to give us the least nutrition and make our bodies have to work very hard to digest it. And it'd be a tie between the worst two ways to eat: microwave foods and fried foods. Microwave foods and fried foods. And the average person today will fry their dinner and reheat in a microwave the next morning. Two boxes we need to eliminate from our lives if we want to be healthy. The TV set and the microwave. If you use too many of those, you'll end up real quick in the third box.
What is the microwave?
I'm going to take questions and comments at the end, but it's the worst things you could do to your food. It's absolutely nothing good for your body. It's actually making your body working much harder to digest this. And now we look at today's world. Another reason we overconsume foods, emotionally eat, and another thing that destroys us. Before we get to the health formula, I have to talk about some dangers that are happening that we don't realize. Because I said laziness and constipation. And what's creating our laziness? What's creating our laziness is technology. People are dying for technology. They're dying because they're lazy, weak, and tired, because they think it's their advantage to have some technology or something else. Now, I admit, things like a cell phone in a case of emergency is a great idea. However, an emergency isn't me calling my friend up on the East Coast to find out what the weather is there today. That's not good enough for me to fry my brain. All medical science is reporting it now. Brain tumors are up more than ever before. More than ever before. But people don't realize the connection between the cell phones and the brain tumors. People don't get it. And people say, well, I'm just going to buy this little chip and it's going to make everything okay. No, it's not. It'll just give you a false impression that you could talk longer, and that's going to make the problem even worse. And if you're talking in your car, which is like a big antenna that you're inside, it's making it even worse. People say, I don't know how I would ever live without a cell phone. Well, cell phone's been out, 20 years? And everyone here looks older than 20. You've been living without it before it. And now to make it worse, they have TVs in cell phones. It's getting so bad today. We're dying for technology. It started off with, oh, I don't want to take the stairs, I'll take the escalator. It started off with that. Now it's getting even worse. You go to the supermarket today, you see how lazy people are? I remember when I was young, I used to go to the supermarket, and the aisles used to be relatively skinny. Now the aisles are so wide, and I realize why. It's because the people are so wide they can't get down those skinny aisles anymore. And now you go to the supermarket. When I used to go there, they used to have these little carts with some handicapped people, maybe one or two. Now they have like a whole fleet, and people are just waiting to ride them, not because they're sick, just because they're lazy. I have a new idea which is going to change this around. I'm going to make a supermarket with really long aisles, and I'm going to put all the junk food at the back and make it where you can't turn around to the next aisle. So just for people to get their junk food, they have to exercise to get it. We need to understand and reverse what's happening with technology. Before I tell you what the formula for health is, I want to give you just an example of what technology is doing to us. I have a friend who I know he lives alone, and I know he drives his own car, but he was at my talk one night, and I was going back to his house afterwards. So we start walking to his car after my lecture, and the car's running, the lights are on and everything. I said, man, somebody's stealing your car. He said, no, that's this new remote control I got. Instead of just opening the locks, it starts up the car, turns on the headlights and everything else. I'm like, how lazy can somebody be? Until we get inside his car. This man had a remote control for his car stereo. How lazy can you be where you just can't reach your arm out and just change the car stereo? And then we just start driving to his house. We get to his house. All the lights are on in his house. TV's on and everything else. I said, I thought you lived alone. He says, I do. I said, somebody's breaking in your house. He said, no, that's this new remote control I have. Instead of just opening up the garage door, it opens up the lights, it opens up the TVs and everything else. I said, this can't get any worse. No wonder why this man's obese. Until this man had a remote control for his ceiling fan. How do you have a remote control when you just can't lift your arm up? You're too tired to do that. Of course, that's not anyone in here. I'm just telling you about this fellow, how technology has taken over him. So now, just when I think it can't get any worse, I go to the bathroom at this man's house. I mean, I did everything I needed to do in that bathroom, and I didn't have to touch a thing. It was like a bathroom in a department store. The toilet flushed by itself. I washed my hands by itself, cleaned my hands by itself, the door open and closed by itself. I mean, it has gotten so bad today where people just won't want to do anything. Police don't even want to walk anymore. I was in an airport, and I saw these police on these little things that just move them by themselves. You know it's gotten bad when the police are too tired to walk. That's what's happening in today's world. Technology is not, we think, oh, emails and cell phones and computers are great because we'll have more time for ourselves, but the opposite has happened. We have no time for ourselves anymore. People are always busy everywhere, wherever they go. I went to the bathroom the other day, and the fellow in the next door was having a cell phone conversation. This was at least the one place you can get away in the past by yourself, but not anymore. If we can't be alone and just think and reflect what's going on, how will we really see what we're doing? We can't realize we're overeating, we're overstimulated, we're not getting enough sleep because somebody can get in touch with us all the time, and if they can't, we're addicted to getting in touch with people all the time. We've lost the concept of being by ourselves and just reflecting on what's going on around us. So it goes way beyond eating. It goes way beyond food. It starts with technology, television, advertising technology, and then we have some new drug just to help us easily, quickly overcome the side effects that has happened from not only the drugs, but from the laziness of the technology that we're originally having that's caused by the food that they're advertising on TV, that the same sponsors are paying the news to tell us that we need to do this, and they're brainwashing us into this, but they're giving us more drugs to think we're not brainwashed, and then they're giving us this illusion of reality TV to make it look like it's okay, and then we can continue doing this. And then we could eat something that's called good food. We could take a bad food and just add the word organic in front of it. Now we think it's good food, but there's no such thing as a bad organic food, good organic food. Like, let's take, for example, cookies. You know, people call me up and say, oh, I'm eating like you now. I'm eating all organic. I go, oh, really? That's great. And then I go to somebody's house and they have organic Oreos. Our organic cookie is just not just good because it says the word organic. You know, people don't realize these things because they stop thinking for themselves. So to make this formula for health actually take effect, we really have to first get back our own minds, and we really have to first want to walk a block instead of taking a car or taking a bus. You know, I used to think people just don't have time, that's why they drive. So I said, well, if you don't have time, you know, you can't walk, you want to drive, you get there fast, that's okay. But then people would rather wait for a bus than walk. I said, well, if you didn't have time, you wouldn't want to wait for the bus, you'd probably walk or something. You know, it's not time, it's laziness. We get addicted to simplicity in terms of not working, not exercising. Don't raise your hand here, but think about it. We might be eating great food. We might start getting attention about the good food, but just think about it. How many of you actually exercise often? How many of you actually shut the TV and read a book often? How many of you actually drink a good amount of water on a daily basis? You know, food is great, and food is a wonderful thing. You know, and it's great to say people come to me, oh, I'm a raw foodist. That's great. Then I see them 6 months later, I say, you know what, Paul? I'm not doing too well on this raw food diet. The raw foods don't work for me. I'm going to go back to having my coffee and my donuts and everything else. That seemed to work for me. Because it gave you the illusion that nothing was wrong because you were living off stimulation. And it was much more convenient to get cook something in your microwave than to go walk down the block and get something off the fruit tree or out of the ground. We have to really wake up and understand. Now, the formula for health will change all that. The formula for health will help us realize what is actually good, how we can actually eat it, and how we know immediately what's good and bad. The formula for health I've discovered when I read the book by Arnold Ehret, The Mucusless Diet Healing System. Probably one of the greatest names for a book ever written. The Mucusless Diet Healing System. Well, then he wrote another book called Rational Fasting. Like there's any other kind of fasting, right? So, and then he wrote another book called The Cause and Cure for All Human Illness. And the answer is the health formula, which he called the formula for life. And this is simply power minus obstruction equals vitality. Power minus obstruction equals vitality. I'll say it again. Power minus obstruction equals vitality. Now, what in the world does this mean? Let me simplify it. Health minus disease equals wellness. Health minus disease equals wellness. We don't have control over everything in the environment, true. But if we take everything we do have control over, that little obstruction, that little disease is not going to affect us where we're going to be unhealthy. Here's the way it works. You have your power, you have your obstruction, or your health and your disease. Now, if you have more power than obstruction, the obstruction is never going to become too much. The power is always going to be able to get rid of it or cleanse from all that, and you're going to have a certain state of wellness. Depending how much more power you have than obstruction will depend how much vitality you have or how much health you have. But when that obstruction becomes more than that power, that's when the obstruction takes, and the more obstruction you have than power, that's when you start having disease. The more obstruction, the latest stage of disease. So the key to health is to have more power or more health than the disease and the obstruction. That's it right there. Instead of worrying about all these little things that are bad for us, just take care of yourself with the things that are good for you, and you will be fine. The power minus obstruction equals vitality. That's it. Now, where do we get that power? This is the key. Where does that power come from? Another word for health, and the answer to where the power comes from is energy. It's energy. For example, if you have a car with the most powerful engine, if you don't have any energy, any gas, the car's not going anywhere. You need the energy. Now, where does that energy come from? This is the problem we have. It doesn't come from where people think it comes. It doesn't come from the stimulation we get from coffee or some other type of drug. No, the stimulation comes from the rest we get when we're sleeping. From not wasting that energy, we have a tremendous amount of it. It's when we waste that energy that the obstruction takes over. So if we're getting too little sleep, we're wasting our energy. If we're causing our body to work harder than it has to digest the food, we're wasting our energy. And then the obstruction becomes more than the power, and that's when we start suffering from the latest stages of disease. Remember, it starts with constipation, and it goes to laziness, and then it gets worse and worse and worse. We need to make sure we understand the difference between energy and stimulation. Stimulation is a full sense of energy that we get when we take some caffeinated beverage or some emotional stimulant we're living off of, or spiritual stimulant that just gives us a high, and then we have a low, and then we have a high, and then we have a low. That's not what we want. When you're living off the true energy that we're naturally built with, you don't need to ingest it from food or something. You have that energy when you're cleaning inside. You have that oxygen inside. It's a consistent flow. It's always there. You wake up in the morning, you've had enough sleep, you feel great. You get to sleep at a decent time, you wake up at a decent time, you don't have problems staying awake because you're so stimulated and everything else. We need to make sure we have that energy. Now, how do we do that from a diet standpoint? There's 3 things we need to think about when we make our food choices. The foods that are best for us are the foods that give us the most nutrients while using the least amount of energy to get those nutrients while keeping the environment of the body as clean as possible. That's everything when it comes to food. The foods that give us the most nutrients while using the least amount of energy to get those nutrients while keeping the environment of the body as clean as possible. Now here's the problem. We have the first part of that, the foods that give us the most nutrients, and this is where everyone's focusing. Where are we going to get nutrition? You can get nutrition from anywhere. You can get nutrition from cereal, from fruits and vegetables, from meat, from bread, from a cardboard box. You can get nutrients from everywhere. And if that's where we're looking, that's what's going to happen. But the second part, I believe, is the biggest part that's missed when it comes to dietetics today. And I believe it's going to be spoken about more in the future than it is today. It's getting those nutrients while using the least amount of energy to process them or digest them. That's what makes fruits and vegetables and high enzymatic foods so healthy, because it helps us get that food while using as little work or energy as possible to digest that food. That's the difference when people say, well, why can't I eat meat? What's wrong with bread? What's wrong with this? Yes, you can get nutrition from all those things, but your body has to work so much harder to get those nutrients, where when you eat fruits and vegetables that have the liquid in it, that have the enzymes in it, your body's getting a tremendous amount of nutrition while using very little energy to do so. The less energy we're using, the less sleep we require. We'll be able to get enough sleep, and we'll be able to be healthier all around. So that's the second part, getting those nutrients while using as little amount of energy as possible. Now the third part of that is keeping the environment of the body as clean as possible. What foods are going to keep the environment of the body as clean as possible? Well, there's 2 things we need to look at here. The first one is called probiotics. The body has thousands of strands of bacteria in it, good and bad. And when we eat foods that are unhealthy for us or no good for us, the foods are too acidic, and the foods will actually support the unhealthy bacteria or intestinal flora in our body, and it'll create a very toxic environment. But and doctors give us antibiotics, which also support that, which means against the body. Probiotics means with the body. And when we eat foods that support that healthy intestinal flora growth, it helps keep the environment of the body as clean as possible. This is why we recommend eating foods like sauerkraut and some other healthy fermented foods, and also taking probiotic supplementation. But the real thing we need to look at when we talk about a clean environment of the body is the condition of our blood. Dr. Otto Warburg, a Nobel Peace Prize winner, stated years ago, cancer can only thrive in a non-oxidated environment. Well, all disease from candida to cancer and everything in between is only going to survive and thrive in a non-oxidated environment. We need to make sure the blood is well oxidated. We need to make sure that the condition of the body is clean. And the way we're going to do that is not by overeating on Twinkies and cupcakes. The way to do that is to make sure we have a high chlorophyll-rich diet. The chlorophyll in the greens are almost identical to well-oxidated, clean human blood. And when we could find ways to ingest that, be it through wheatgrass, liquid algae, or sprouts, or salad greens, when we get that chlorophyll, it helps clean up the environment of our body because it's cleaning the blood of our body. And that, when the body is clean, when it has clean blood, the disease can't thrive. So that's what we mean when we're talking about keeping the environment of the body as clean as possible. The foods that are going to do that are the high chlorophyll-rich foods, the fruits and vegetables. If we don't eat them, we eat the raw, ripe, fresh, and organic fruits and vegetables, then we'll be able to accomplish the health formula. It's not difficult to understand. The next time you're in your supermarket and you're thinking, well, is this raw, ripe, fresh, and organic? Will this give my body a lot of nutrition and be very little energy to digest it and keep the environment of my body clean? Well, look at it this way. Picture a juicer. If you put a piece of bread in the juicer, what's going to happen? You're going to get very little out of it. The juicer is going to start smoking and breaking, and eventually it's going to break down. Well, your body is the greatest juicer. And if you put a piece of bread in your body, now the body can last a very long time. Some people think it's amazing that somebody could eat a raw food diet and get cured from something like cancer. No, the real amazing thing is somebody could eat McDonald's as long as they eat it and not get cancer. The body is so amazing, it'll last a long time. But each time you put a piece of something unhealthy in your body, you're continuing to cause wear and tear and breaking your body down. Now, if you take a kale leaf or an apple and put it through a juicer, it's going to go through very easy. It's going to get a lot of liquid and nutrition out of it. Your bodies are the greatest juicer. And don't give it anything but the best. That's what it deserves, the best. And you can make that happen. The first step, step number one to making a formula for health happen, eliminate the cause. Eliminate the cause. You cannot be healthy if you continue to do the unhealthy things. You must eliminate the cause of your problem for your problem to go away. It doesn't only have to be food. It can be people. It can be a job. You either learn to deal with the stress or you eliminate it. That's it. That's step number one. Step number two, cleanse and rebuild from the damage that you've already created. This could actually be two steps, but a one step, because when you're cleansing, you're automatically building. We need to cleanse and rebuild from the damage we've already created. Now, there's many different ways to cleanse, but the greatest way is sleeping. When you're sleeping, the blood is naturally being cleansed. And I don't know why so many people, they love it so much, but they always cut it short. We need to make sure we get enough sleep. Step number two is cleansing and rebuilding from the damage we've already done. Step number three is creating a diet that works best for your own individual chemistry. Now people say, what does that mean? You mean there's a different diet for all of us? I say, no, the highest quality foods, the foods that are going to give our body the most and take the least energy are the best foods for all of us. And that would be the fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. However, determining how much of each food we need, how often we need it, and so on, is going to be based on our own individual chemistry. And the only way to determine that is have some blood work done on our own individual body. And I'm not talking about the blood type diet, which is a piece of garbage. I'm talking about our own individual chemistry will show exactly what we need, what we're missing, what's wrong, what will be wrong, and so on. And somebody that properly knows how to translate it and read those results can develop a diet that will work best for your own individual condition, for your own individual chemistry. So step number three would be creating a diet that works best for your own individual chemistry. Doctors give excellent blood work. They give great equipment to take your blood and decide what's wrong. But then you must take those results to a qualified professional like some of the doctors we have here, and they could properly read it, because doctors don't know how to translate the blood work, and somebody else could be very high, and it could appear you're low, but you might be fine. Maybe everyone else is too high. So if you go to somebody that properly knows how to translate the blood tests, then you'll get the best information of what diet works best for you. This is why some people could eat more of one thing, and some people could eat less of another thing, and so on. It's not because we're not all built the same, because we are. But based on all the things we've done in our lives, we've all done different things, so we're all at a different place. And we must all develop a diet that works best for our own individual chemistry. And then the fourth thing is not neglecting the emotional and spiritual aspects of our health to go along with everything. Because I don't care how good your diet is, I don't care how happy your life is, if you're not paying attention to your emotional and spiritual health, you're not going to experience the beautiful wonderful benefit and joy that we have the capability of obtaining. So I want to thank you for coming here this evening or this afternoon, and I just want to also tell you to keep your eyes focused on what you're doing and not get sidetracked by other people. May our Creator, who gave us the wonderful food that we're eating, who gave us the wonderful opportunity to have the capability of achieving the greatest health that is a blessing that He wanted for us to have, may He bless you today and always. God bless you.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life, brighten up your life.